All right, we'll move on to item 6, approval of board policies and objectives. 6.1, establishment of the FY2017 board meeting dates, times, places. It's revised and it's on a second reading, so I'll need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Second, okay, just a couple of comments that I have here. I mentioned earlier the two dates I'd like to discuss, July 26th, the subject to call. We did some looking around at our other colleagues, our other peer institutions, and some of them have 10 meetings a year, some of them have 11. I was proposing and inviting your comments that we not have a July meeting unless it's absolutely necessary. That's why we call it subject to call. Working with Dr. Weber, Dr. Kerrigan and I have, and other administrators to see if we can continue to provide as efficient meetings as we possibly can. We'd like to continue working on that. So if there's a need, we would call a meeting. I don't propose that we would at this time, but I'd like to just have the meeting of July 26th as a subject to call, depending on what you folks think. Yeah, I did. Harper and Moraine have 10 meetings per year. Oakton, Elgin, and Joliet have 11 per year. So, any thoughts on that?
Well, I kind of have a concern because of when that occurs. It's right when the start of the new fiscal year starts, and right when the start of the state's fiscal year starts, and right before we start a new semester. And so I am thinking that there certainly can be a lot of things that can come up that are important at that time. And I would think that if you're going to take any meeting and make it subject to call, I would do it the December meeting. Because that meeting, in my experience, has not been a very, what I would call, meaty agenda in the past. And so I think that we have more pressing matters that are going on during the month of July than to suggest that it would not make sense to go 2 months without a meeting. And so I think if you're going to do anything, it could be over the holiday when the semester's already done, and that meeting ends up being pretty perfunctory anyway.
Isn't that also the first meeting or last meeting before the beginning of a new semester? Just like July.
Yes, but July, my reasoning for not wanting to get rid of the July meeting has more reasons behind it, not just the start of a new semester. Also, it's the start of the fiscal year, it's the start of the state's fiscal year, and given the situation that we have with the state this year and the way things are uncertain, I just think it's it doesn't make sense to not have a meeting at that time.
I kind of disagree. I mean, we're already done with the budget, just started a new budget, that's already done with. There's nothing we can do with the legislature because they're going to be gone anyways. And it just seems like a good time to take a day, time off in the middle of the summer.
4 of our colleagues do not have a July meeting. Peer institutions.
What was that?
4 of our peer institutions do not have a July meeting.
I just have another question to ask. I know we've gone around and around about this in the past, and I think Phil was one of the ones that has brought it up fairly regularly. If we eliminate that meeting, we're eliminating another Waukegan Lakeshore campus, and we're going to have a lot of construction going on up there. Do we want to only have one meeting up in Lakeshore?
Well, that certainly could be moved to August. It's not that difficult.
Well, I guess the way I'm looking at this, if it's on here as subject to call, that means we'll have a meeting if we have to have one, right?
Right. That's the intent.
That's what it would seem like.
Doesn't mean we wouldn't have.
But I guess and I know, legally it only has to be 48 hours or something like that, but I guess I would certainly think that through our planning and all that is going on, we should know whether we need to have a meeting.
We could provide a cutoff date
for
That-
public.
Well, not so much even a cutoff date, but I guess what I'm saying is, I mean, I've been sitting at this table for almost 30 years. Things become cyclical in our environment of stuff that we have to do and whatever. So there's certain things that, you know, we have to get done. But to Gene's point, you know, with the building and the construction and stuff going on, I guess I would expect us to know up front
Well, we'd have to know soon
about
enough.
this meeting.
We'd have
I
to
mean,
know
do we
soon
need
enough
it?
in advance to provide notice to
Well, I know,
everybody,
but
so-
legally you only have to do, you know, however many hours or whatever. I guess the more important thing is, what we need to decipher is, do we need to have this meeting? June seems to think we need to have the meeting because of the reasons that she stated.
When is the June
I don't
meeting
know.
next month? 28th.
So
So let me say this about the budget and the state. One of two things will happen. They're gonna finish in the next week or so, or it's gonna go into this real craziness.
It'll go into the election.
Yeah, it'll go into this real craziness, and then I think you're gonna want that meeting in July, certainly, but it may be resolved, I mean, you'd know it by the June meeting.
The next one is, just so we have it on the table, is the April 25th, 2017 meeting. That we talked about at the recent update on May 26th, or May 6th, excuse me, where we did provide some alternatives to the April 25th, 2017 meeting, as this is the last day to canvass for the CLC Board of Trustees election. In the past, just to let you know, we've always received these results in time, but this potentially could be a problem for our 25th, 2017 board meeting, as new board members must be seated by May 5th. So a couple of options to think about as well on this. Keep the April 25th, 2017 meeting pending receipt of the election results. Move the April 25th, 2017 meeting to Thursday, April 27th. Or move the April 25th, 2017 meeting to Tuesday, May 2nd, which would mean there'd be 2 meetings in May.
They've always made the canvass date, we've always had the elections come in by the canvass date, so it hasn't been an issue, but it's just notifying you.
Yeah, they
It would
always,
have to be
so far, they've
Yeah,
certified
but it
at
would
the
have to
time.
be moved if
I
they
was gonna
didn't.
say, is something different this
No.
Yeah, so
year
far
than
they've
the
certified at the
No,
time.
last
just,
however many
just,
years?
yeah.
put it on the radar. So, everybody's okay, we'll leave it at the 25th. All right. Any other comments?
So did we resolve the subject to call?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I think the subject to call, if we see an issue and we know there's a problem coming down the
We'll
road, we
definitely
set
go.
the meeting up.
Sure, absolutely.
So are we saying that there is no meeting unless we call one, or there is a meeting, we could have the potential to call it off?
The motion says there's a subject to call, which means there's not going to be a regular scheduled meeting unless we change it.
And do we vote on that, or is that
There's a motion on the table.
general consensus, or is it
Well, there's a
coming
motion on
down
the
from
table.
God, or what?
A motion on the table.
Okay, let me just throw another thing out too, because we've been scheduling committee of the whole meetings and stuff like that. Is there an opportunity where we can knock off one of those?
What do you mean on that day?
Oh. Because we have a separate meeting, don't we have a separate meeting scheduled for sometime the next month or whatever for a committee of the whole, which is a whole completely different date.
Derek's
And I
gonna,
don't care, you guys figure it out, and Bill, you figure it out, but I think there's some flexibility there.
that's it.
All right, we're gonna go to
Okay, so Mr. Condon,
What are we doing? Help me.
so we're
We're voting
voting
on what?
We're
To
voting.
keep this subject to,
subject, that's the motion.
You're voting on this whole calendar, which
With-
contains the subject call.
do you understand what that means? It means there's not gonna be a July meeting unless it's called.
Right.
That's what it means.
I understand.
You're voting down
There's no alternative that we're,
Oh, sure.
no, I'm just trying to make sure I understand the facts before I vote. So are we saying the December, subject to call ideal is off the table?
Unless the motion's amended. If you want to amend the motion, that's fine.
All right.
Is it also a true fact, though, we can, even if this is an approved calendar with the proper notice, we can always cancel a meeting or change the date, just as we've done in the past?
Sure.
Well, we can always do that. I just, I've been hearing from some of you, you don't want dates changed, so that was the whole idea.
And
Well,
you
not
have, you have
after
the
they're set.
capability, you have the capability
But I
to do
mean,
that.
no, and I'm probably the loudest voice. I hate to see us changing dates if in fact we've already established a date for something. It causes difficulties for those of us that do long-range planning, you know, just like I'll pick on the foundation, and they just changed their date for the gala. You know, when you're told one thing,
Did they change the date?
well, from what they told us last year, which was, you know, I planned a vacation now for the date that, the new date for the gala, so I get a little bit irritated with that, because I do my due diligence up front. So no, once we set something, I don't like to see us change them. And once we approve of something, you know, unless it's absolutely
Is
necessary.
it November 5th?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
That's the new date.
Just in case the
And
world
in case
passes-
that
change
changes
the
again,
world passes me by, you
or I
know?
would have asked us all.
Yeah, there was a,
At last year's gala,
Oh,
we were
okay.
given the date, it was on the program and everything.
By then, I don't put things in my calendar. But
Okay, well, let's either vote up or down on it. If the vote goes down, then we won't change it. But let's make a decision.
So Mr. Condon.
Abstain.
Oh, easy for you.
Stay out of that one.
Mrs. Oshine.
Aye.
Ms. Paul. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Dr. Kerrigan.
Aye.
Ms. Kashgarian. No. Dr. Griffin.
All right.
Ms. Holland.
Aye.
okay.